Are you curious what was served for breakfast in 1942 Florida? Well, come along with me and discover the recipes, table setting, and more on this fun vintage culinary adventure. I will see you there. So here's a little sneak peek at our 1942 breakfast spread. Looking really delicious. Stay tuned for all of the recipes. All right, we're ready to dive into the first part of this 1942 breakfast, which are the sour cream muffins, courtesy of Dora the cow. So cute. I wish I had a cow for sour cream and all that. Let me know in the comments down below if you love cows. So we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour here. I like to use a whisk to kind of mix together dry ingredients first. So we have those 2 cups of flour, just a tablespoon of sugar. So these are not super sweet muffins. Then we have a teaspoon of salt. I like to use kosher salt. So that goes in there. We have 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And you will see later on that we also have baking soda. So it's a double whammy here of leaveners. After that, now we have the dry ingredients. We're going to add 1.5 cups of cream. Now, before you start the process, you need to save out 2 tablespoons of this 1.5 cups and put it in a separate bowl. And I have my 1 teaspoon of baking soda in here, and you can see that it's kind of puffed up. It's kind of bubbly, so it's reacting with that acid there. And yeah, a lot of times they had you dissolve the baking soda in something. So we are going to stir in half of the cream, the sour cream, into here. And then this baking soda dissolved in the 2 tablespoons of sour cream. And don't worry, all the recipes are always written out in the description down below. So make sure you have all that info. And then we have, it says beaten egg, so I forgot that. So luckily we have our whisk here. We can beat that up real quick. Not a problem. Clean up that mess later. And then we have the egg. So we're just gonna stir this together a little bit, and then we're supposed to add the remainder of the cream. I don't think I've had, I think sour cream biscuits and pancakes and type of things, but I've never had sour cream muffins. And these sound really good because they're mostly savory for breakfast, which I kind of prefer. I mean, I do have a sweet tooth. Let me know if you have a sweet tooth down below, because I love those things, but they tend to kind of give me a sugar spike. So I prefer the savory most of the time, even though I love desserts. So let's get the rest of that cream. Can you imagine having your own cow so you could have all that fresh cream and milk all the time? That would be amazing. Let me know if you've ever had a cow or been to a dairy farm. I went to a dairy farm with my parents not long ago, and we got to see the little babies. They were so cute. Okay, so we're supposed to beat well, it says. So we want to get, this is going to be a pretty thick batter because there's no milk in here. It's just the cream and the eggs. So I want it to come together, but I don't want to overdo it. So this is a different kind of muffin for me, I'm used to it being a little more liquidy. I might even have to, this almost seems like a kneading situation, like a bread dough or something, but I just want to make sure and get all these bits in here. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite muffin is. I have a hard time, mine are probably like berry muffins, blueberry, strawberry, raspberry. I'm just a berry-aholic. But I also love like a cinnamon sugar one. I used to make some as a kid where you dipped the muffin top in butter and then put cinnamon sugar on it. It was called a French one. I don't know if it's really French, to be honest, but it sure was good. So yeah, let me know if you make muffins often or not. Okay, so this looks good. I'm gonna take a pause here. I'll be back in just a moment because I gotta get my scoop for the muffin. All right, so we have our muffin tin. A little modern spin is I put these silicone muffin liners. I love these, but I still spray them with non-stick spray because I really hate when things stick. So I kind of add some extra insurance there. So I am gonna use this scoop to put the batter in there. That might be a little overfilled, but we'll see how many of these we fill up. And by the way, we have our oven set at 450 degrees. It says hot oven. And these are gonna go in for about 20 minutes. But I have my oven on the fan setting, so it might take a little less. I might try 15 minutes and then check them. These might be a little full. It's supposed to make about a dozen muffins, but I might have to tinker with this a little bit because I think I'm filling them way too full. But let's do the scoops, and then I might take out a little bit from each scoop. So I have 7 so far there with that measurement. 8, not quite 9, I don't think. Let's see here, yeah. So I'm gonna off camera tinker with this a little bit, see if I can squeeze out 12 muffins, which I think I can because these are really filled a lot. And then we will get them in the oven. I will see you when they're out of the oven. Yum, yum. These sour cream muffins are looking good. Delicious. Now these muffins, or they seem more like biscuits, just came out of the oven, so they're really hot, but I just wanted to show you that since the batter was really thick, or the dough, seems very biscuit-like. So please stay tuned for the family tasting at the end where we try the whole breakfast and see what these are like. They smell amazing. So anyways, stay tuned and we'll head on over to our marmalade recipe next. All right, so we're getting ready to make our marmalade. In the book, they call it Scotch marmalade, and they used wild oranges. Here in Oregon, we do not have orange trees. It gets too cold. So I did get some heirloom navel oranges from a local produce place. And I'm not going to be weighing these as is, but I'm going to use my scale over here to weigh the peel and the fruit and the sugar as we go along. So I had to write all this recipe out, write out this recipe from the book because it's kind of in a story form. So I had to put it in a way that I could understand it. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to peel the oranges. So this is going to take a little while. We're going to peel all the peel, and then I'm going to use my chef's knife to make as thin of strips as I can. And then once I have all those strips, as you can see here, it already smells really good. I'm going to be weighing all of those over here on my scale. So I'm gonna do all of that tedious work off of camera, but I'll show you when I have all of the peel ready to go, and stay tuned for the next step of this marmalade. I wanted to show you mid-stage what it's like to make these strips, because I found that peeling the oranges, you don't get, you know, perfect strip size things to cut up. So I would say just make as small of bits as you can with a knife and call it good. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a marmalade, so it's gonna get all mixed up with the yummy fruit juice and stuff. So it's totally fine to have something that looks like this. And I've made many jams, but it's my first time making marmalade. So anyways, this looks pretty good. Okay, so I have finished with the peel, and it turned out to be 5 ounces of peel, and you need to put in 4 times the amount of water with that peel. So that equals 20 ounces of water. You have to do a lot of math with this recipe. So we're gonna be boiling this peel on the stove several times so that we can really soften it up. So the first boil is gonna be for 10 minutes here, and then we're going to drain that, and then we're gonna repeat the boiling and draining 3 more times for 5 minutes each. So I'm gonna bring you over to the stove in just a moment, and we'll go through that boiling process. While it's boiling, in between, I'm gonna start preparing the fruit. Just a minute. So I wanted to give you a quick peek of the orange peel and water on the stove. And over here I have a bowl with a strainer. So I'm gonna be using that for draining it in between each boil. So we're gonna be straining it 4 times total. So let me bring you back over to preparing the fruit now. Okay, while those peels are starting to boil, let's prepare the fruit. So I wanna cut off all of this white pith part so that we can get down to the delicious fruit. Oh, this smells so good. So I'm just gonna demonstrate one of these, and again, we need to weigh this. So as soon as I have this all peeled and then cut the fruit into really small pieces, we'll be weighing that, because that determines how much sugar we're gonna need. So all of this is kind of weighed out and calculated depending on how much you have, which is quite handy. It's a cool way to do a recipe. Okay, so your orange is gonna look a lot smaller, like this. So what I like to do is to do kind of supremes where you're cutting in between the segments, and then you just get this beautiful kind of pure fruit here that doesn't have any of the bitterness on it. And then we can chop that up into really small pieces. And then that is gonna go in my bowl. I've zeroed out my scale again, so we'll be weighing that as we go. So I'll be back to show you more of the process, so stay tuned after we get all this ready and get the jam or the marmalade going. I wanted to point out, I got one of the oranges all sectioned off, but over here, I wanna make sure and get all this delicious juice out. So I'm just gonna kinda hand squeeze as much juice as I can in here. I could use my citrus squeezer thing, but this is totally fine to get a bunch of yummy juice in there because we want both the fruit and the juice. So that is my tip to you. Don't waste that juice. All right, we'll be back with the next step in just a moment. Okay, so we are back with the finished fruit and juice, and I finagled it a bit to get it to weigh 1 pound exactly, which means I need 4 cups of water or 1 quart of water. So I'm actually going to combine these, and I have to boil the peel one more time, but we will continue with the fruit and water step right after the peel is done, and I'll show you what the peel looks like after all the boiling. So we'll be back with the next step in a moment. We're going to take a quick peek at the fruit and juice and water. I have it here on the stove, and we're supposed to boil it until the fruit is disintegrated. So we're gonna do this step now. So I wanted to show you the orange peel. It's been boiled a total of 4 times for about 25 minutes total. As you can see, it's still really hot, but it's a lot more tender than it was. And I did change the water each time, so I added 20 ounces each time, just in case that made a difference. The recipe did not say so, but I thought, well, some of the water is boiling off, so I wanted to make sure it had plenty of water to boil in. So that was my method, which I will put in the recipe down below. And so we're just waiting on our fruit and water to boil up, and then we'll go on to the next step. So look at this yummy stuff. Yay! And I have a Paddington Bear story for you, which is perfect for marmalade, coming up in a moment. Well, we're waiting for the fruit to boil with the water. I thought I'd show you my jars in the oven. I have them in a pan with water and water inside the jars. And this is at 250 Fahrenheit so that we can keep these sterilized for the jam, for the marmalade. Okay, before we move on to our Paddington story and the rest of the jam, I have a dish count. I think it's about 21 to 23 items already for 2 recipes. It's not too bad really, but let's get to washing the dishes. Okay, I'll be right back with the next step with the jam. So we have our fruit and juice and water mixture here. So it says to get it completely disintegrated. I think it's about as soft as it's gonna get. It's been boiling for over half an hour. And over here I have some cheesecloth and then this thin cotton cloth that we're gonna use to do some straining in just a moment. So before I move on, I also have the peel over here weighed. It weighs a little bit over 5 ounces. So after I strain this mixture, then we're gonna move on to combining this and the peel and figuring out how much sugar we have. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're ready to strain this. So the first straining, I'm gonna use this kind of cheesecloth here, and it's been used many times for tofu and cheese and various things. So let's strain this. It says to press it the first time you strain it, so to get a little more of the juice, and then the second time you're not supposed to press for some reason. But as I do this, I will tell you the Paddington story. Let me know in the comments down below if you love Paddington the bear. Well, when my brother and I were little kids, I can't remember who, and I think, I'm not sure if whoever the relative was, brought back the Paddington bear bear that was all dressed up in the boots and the coat and the hat and everything. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be for me or my brother, but regardless, my brother really took to that bear, and then the boots and everything disappeared. And he loved that bear so much that one of the ears fell off. I think it was just down to one ear. And then my grandma made a little crocheted or knitted red cape for it. So then it was a super bear. And he just loved that bear so much. So whenever I think of Paddington, I remember that Paddington being all brand new, and then it being the super bear after that. So he had a transformation. So I just love that. So you can see we have this nice juice liquid that we strain through this. Now I'm gonna set this aside over here. Actually, I'll just take the cloth out because it said to use something like a flannel, but I don't really know what that is, or I know what the flannel fabric is, but I don't have that. So I'm just gonna use this, and oops, I think I'm gonna have to transfer it back to the pot again. Pardon me. So we'll do this, transferring that back, and then just a final strain through a thicker fabric here. I think this is gonna approximate what they mean. I don't have the exact jelly bag, but I think that's fine. And yeah, this just, you're not supposed to press on it, but it's okay to use a spoon a little bit. But I think just a bit of a finer strain on this is what they're going for. And after this, we're gonna combine the juice and the peel and see how much that weighs. For every pound of that mixture, you want 1.5 pounds of sugar. So if it's not an even number, I'll spend a little bit of time doing math and then come back. I'm sure we will figure it out. And yeah, this should be really delicious. It's smelling so citrusy in here, just really refreshing. So let me know if you love making jam, what kind of jams you've made down below in the comments, or what your favorite kind of jam is just to buy and eat, or if you use jam much at all. It is super yummy, especially if it's homemade. Last year I didn't make any jam, but well, this year this is my first jam or marmalade, so yay. Okay, so we're gonna scooch the scale on over here. I'm gonna have more dishes to add to my dish count here. So let's see how much this weighs. Okay, that is over 1 pound. Whoop. So that is close to, well, it's 1 pound, 7.2 ounces. So I'm gonna come back and extrapolate the math on that and get the amount of sugar that we need. Alrighty, so we're back to the stove and we're gonna make the marmalade now finally. So we have the juice and the peel going in here. I'm gonna get kind of a wooden spatula thing so I can be stirring. And I'm also gonna measure the temperature of this as I go so I know kind of when it's getting to the gelling point. So I ended up needing 1.5 pounds plus 12 ounces of sugar. It took a bit of calculating. Oops, some of that sugar spilled. Oops. Okay. I'm going to take a little moment to clean that up before we get cooking so that it doesn't burn all over. but you can see how beautiful this mixture is. I have a really big stock pot here. So I will be right back. Okay, we are all ready to go here. We're going to be boiling this. It would help if I turned on the stove. Boiling this mixture, and I want to get it between 217 and 221 Fahrenheit, more or less. But I also have a plate in the freezer along with some spoons, so I can do some testing with the gel of this marmalade in there. So I'm going to show you one more aspect of jarring up the marmalade in a moment while we wait for this to boil up. Okay, you can see I have my lids and my rings here boiling on the stove, so that way I can seal up the jars properly when I'm ready to jar up the marmalade. So the jam, I think, is about done, or the marmalade. It's really, really boiling. And I tried some on this plate from the freezer, and it's gelling up pretty nicely, as you can see. So you can make kind of a path through it. That's a really good sign. So I think I'm gonna jar up some, and I'll show you that process. So we're gonna jar up some of the marmalade. I don't have a ladle here. My husband's using it for a soup day at work. So I'm just gonna use a spoon here, and it's still pretty liquidy, but it's gonna firm up. So we're gonna fill the jar almost full, and then we're gonna get one of those boiling lids over there very carefully with some tongs. So look how pretty that looks. That is absolutely gorgeous. And this process took a little over 2 hours. Quite a bit of time, but you know, homemade marmalade is pretty special. So let's get a lid here. So these things are really handy for keeping the jar clean, and we want to carefully put a hot lid on there without touching it too much. And then this lid part here, I am gonna have to touch that a little bit. So pardon me just a moment. A lot of times I like to use a towel to get it on the rest of the way, because this is pretty hot. And so let's, whew, yeah, it's hot. So we just have to get it really, really tight, as tight as you can. And what I do is I put these upside down so they can seal. You don't want to leave them there too long, but for a little bit so that they can seal. Some people like to water bath can these. I don't find that you need to do that with jam. If it's something like tomatoes or something like that, you absolutely need to. But in this case, this is how my mom taught me how to do it, and this is how I do it. Just very simple, but do it the way you want to, for sure. So I'm gonna keep on jarring this up, and then we will see you for cooking some local sausages, and then for the family tasting. And after the sausages will come the table setting. So stay tuned for all of those fun details. I will be right back. So here we are with some breakfast sausages that goes with the meal. I did not make these. Here is the brand of them. They're a local one, and they're flavored with fresh sage and also maple syrup. So the great thing is they're already fully cooked, so all we have to do is kind of brown them up in this pan. So I'm heating it up right now, and I will do most of this off camera, but I wanted to let you know we're going to look through the book where these recipes come from after this, and then stay tuned for the table setting for the 1942 breakfast. And finally, do not miss the family tasting where I sit down with my husband and son and they give me their opinions. We're gonna be tasting everything together, but the main part is, of course, the sour cream muffins and the marmalade. So as these sizzle away, I will see you in just a moment for the book part. So let's take a look at our book today. So this is a 1942 book, Creek Cookery by Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, and it has some original paintings on there. Now here are the Cross Creek menus. So the ones with the stars are recipes in the book. So this is the one we're following. We're not doing grapefruit, but we'll do chilled oranges today. Some Appalachia, Alachua, county country sausage. We do not have that, but we're using a local sausage. And then sour cream muffins that we made, wild orange marmalade, or the best approximation that we made, strong coffee, and Dora's cream. I wish we had Dora. So anyway, this is the menu we're doing today. And the two recipes are here, the sour cream muffins, courtesy of Dora. And then back here, I've sort of parsed out the marmalade recipe. It kind of just tells the story of how they found the oranges, but I will have that all written out for you in a more understandable way in the description below. So let me know what you think of this book, if you have seen it before. I still need to read a lot of the stories in here, but I've read most of the recipes, and it has a lot of wonderful Florida recipes. So anyway, let's continue on to the breakfast table setting, and then we'll see you for the family tasting and see how all these delicious things taste. Hello, for the table setting portion, I already have the table set. I had some phone storage issues, so that video got cut off, so I will just show you how the table is set up. I'll do another overhead view in a moment. But I just want to show you these cute orange cups. These are double-walled teacups that I use to put the oranges in, and I'm going to put some ice around these. In a lot of cookbooks, they mentioned kind of chilled fruit. So I'm going to do that. And then I have these beautiful napkins that belong to this tablecloth set that a friend gave us. And I spent some time ironing these this morning to make them look really nice. So welcome to the 1942 breakfast table. I will get it a little more set up in a bit, and stay tuned for the family tasting. See you in a moment. Hey everybody, we're here to try the 1942 breakfast, namely the sour cream muffins and some homemade marmalade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so we can put the fruit off to the side right now.
Well, I'm going in.
This was a muffin, you said?
Yeah. It seems a little more biscuit-like, but we'll see how they turn out.
So in this recipe, do you have to like ration out your sugar like they did in the war?
Should I?
This didn't have a lot of sugar, so it may have been rationing. It's only a tablespoon of sugar.
Should I have the? Can I have the marmalade?
Oh yes, please.
It That's what I'm looking for. It's not flaky.
No, these are muffins, but they seem. It's kind of a muffin biscuit combo.
It's kind of bouncy.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
I'll try this marmalade, which is very almost caramely.
Yes.
There you go, pal.
Yeah, it's one of the longer jam recipes because we have to do a lot of weighing and stuff. But yeah, really interesting.
Wow.
What do you think of the marmalade? May I have a little bit to try?
Oh, okay, now I'm getting the orange flavor.
Yeah.
It tastes like orange honey.
Mm-hmm. That's a good summation of it, I think.
It kind of has that consistency of honey too.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Ooh,
What
delicious.
do you think, Adam?
I'm approved.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think it's as bitter as a lot of marmalades, which is a
you're right.
huge plus because I don't really like the bitter.
Yeah,
So
this is really good.
this is much better than, I mean, generally I'm not a big marmalade fan, but this is a winner.
And I thought this, was it sour cream muffin?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be rubbery, but it's actually nice.
It's actually quite soft.
Delicious.
It actually is a nice, kind of a dinner roll, but not a biscuit for sure, but like a dinner muffin.
Yeah, a
Muffin.
dinner muffin. That's a good, good point. Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
quite good. I guess it requires sugar and also fresh fruits. I don't know if this is the best 1942 recipe at the time.
Perhaps not, but
You
if you
think-
live in Florida, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this was written by someone who was like very out of touch, someone who's like very rich. at the
Perhaps
time.
so. Yeah, she was a famous author, so she probably had the
yeah.
means to get the sugar. Used it, put it to good use. But good stuff.
Very good.
Thanks, guys. Definitely try the recipes. All right, now we can eat